And with this, over to you, Najia and Maya.
Thank you, Larissa. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Today, me and my co-presenter Maya are going to talk about SAP Business Content and Accelerators. The way we're gonna run this session is like this. So the agenda for today includes first, we're going to introduce you to the concept of business content and accelerators. And we are going to share why is it important, why is it relevant for us, why it is relevant for you as customers. And then we're going to look closely into what kind of business content and accelerators we work with, the different types, the different kind of resources we have available, how you can access them, which tools are which tools can utilize to access this content, and how this whole concept of business content and accelerators fit into SAP's integrated toolchain and SAP strategy. Then we also have some demos for you where we're gonna share some tools, how you can locate the content, what's the right way to do it. Um, and in the end, once we get an idea that you are a little bit familiar with the concept, with the topic, we are going to share some opportunities as to how we can collaborate together, how we can work together. So it's not like a one-way communication thing, it's a like two-way communication sort of thing, where we not only share our side of story, but we also want to learn from you and also receive your feedback and to continuously improve it to help you in your transformation needs. And lastly, we do have a Q&A section. So yeah, feel free to raise any questions and we are happy to answer that. Before we start the session, I would just like to briefly introduce as to why we are talking about this. So me and Maya, we both are from a team called Global Content Group. And I have been with SAP for almost 4 years now. And in this particular organization, I oversee all of the customer engagements and customer related initiatives. And Maya, would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Nadia. Yeah, so I've been with SAP now for let's say 6 to 7 years. Worked as a developer in the beginning, and then also as a consultant, technology consultant for SAP Cloud ALM and Solution Manager, and now a little bit in the background and trying to tweak a little bit the processes that we have here, and would love to present you now what we have here together with Nadia.
Thank you, Maya. So now, why business content accelerators? Why we should talk about it? And for that, I would like to take you back to 1969 to the Apollo moon landing mission. And we think this is one of the best examples to quote here because this gives you or shares the importance of business contents and why is it important to have that context before you go or like before you plan to have an important mission. So if we go back to that mission, that project, we we can see that NASA used a whole business context, business content and accelerators to create these simulations, to create these trainings, to create these playbooks. Everything was calculated, everything was predefined, every step was very carefully, calculated and being built on. There were role-specific tasks, role-specific responsibilities. So all in all, the people that were involved in this mission were not only prepared for the expected but also for the unexpected. And despite all of these challenges and some other during the landing situation, we were still able to achieve this. And this mission is till date one of its kind. It gave us the way to the outer world, to the outer space. And after that, we have built upon whatever we have achieved on there and whatever we have learned from that particular mission being built upon, and then using this for several other alike initiatives. And what is in here for us to learn from? Why is it relevant for us? Because in this current world, every business needs to transform in one way or the other. Not because it's the market needs, but it's also like the customer. They also are demanding for us to transform, to fit into the current world requirements. And that's why if we have the right content, if we have the right context as to what we need to do at each step of this transformation, we can do it very easily and very smoothly. And that's where we come into action. We provide you with the content that can help you and make this transformation journey very easy for you. And not only that it becomes easy for you, but it guides you at every step as to from the resources that we have, the pre-built templates, the guides, the how-tos, um, the training and everything that can help you what needs to be done at every phase. And this way, you can not only get better value, but you can also maximize your SAP investment. You can accelerate the adoption of the SAP solutions from the best practice and insights that we share through our content. And again, as said, it's a two-way communication. So not only like we share our insights with you, but we also give you the opportunities to work with us so that we can also learn from each other and build on this content. For example, industry-specific content and industry-specific trainings or manuals. So that's why it's important to get the right context when you are in an important mission like transformation. Now, let's have a closer look into what kind of business content we work with and what kind of resources we provide to you to help you in this transformation journey. And for that, I'm going to hand over to Maya.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Just a short request. Can you please click on the hide button there? There's this banner. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so Nadia did a really good introduction. I think it's always a very good example to have a non-SAP example to kind of understand and get into a topic, right? So this is why Apollo 11 was a very, very good example when it comes to how knowledge can really help you accelerate in your transformation project or in any project, right? Now, let's look a little bit closer into this business content accelerators. The term might be new. It might be something that you feel like, okay, another buzzword, right? But in itself, it's nothing new. It's something that we have been using for a very long time. Maybe you have actually already been using it in your projects and you just don't know about the term. So I think it would be great to just have a very short introduction on what exactly business and content and accelerators mean. So we actually define these two terms separately. Business content is about context, so it brings structured knowledge tied to real customer goals like cost reduction, industry-specific use cases, or transformation priorities. Yeah, it helps you really understand what matters and why. So business content is knowledge. Yeah, it is related to certain business contexts, business scenarios, maybe also certain use cases. And obviously over the past couple of years and decades that SAP has been working with customers all over the world, they have gathered a lot of knowledge around certain industries. As Nadia already mentioned, customers operate in certain processes and special processes, that a customer can have. And all this knowledge is now made available to customers in the form of business content. And examples for business content are, for example, process models, SAP Best Practices, maybe also enterprise reference architecture you've heard of, but I will talk about that in a second. So it's basically gathered knowledge over the years, which is now available free of charge for the customers. Now that is business content. What is now accelerators on the other hand? Accelerators, on the other hand, are about the execution. Yeah, so these are the pre-built deployable technical components, often also on BTP, that help you implement faster, more efficiently, and also with less risk. Yeah, we differentiate these two terms because together they build a very powerful combination where business content gives you a direction and accelerators then make that direction actionable. To make it more understandable, if we go to the next slide, I also want to kind of emphasize that it's not just business content and accelerators that we're talking about. Yeah, it fits into this whole SAP methodology. It fits very, very nicely into everything else that we know. With Rise with SAP, we have the methodology that provides a very clear roadmap for transformation. And then, of course, we have the integrated toolchain. So SAP integrated toolchain, guys have heard about it, which spans from Cloud ALM, which is your implementation tool. Then you have your Signavio as your process management tool. We also have LeanIX, which aligns the IT and the business, WalkMe, which drives adoption. So we have the integrated toolchain, we have the methodology, and in between then have the business content and accelerators, which we're talking about today, which basically just give you guidance and ready to use assets that make the transformation faster and easier. Where business content, it really gives you a direction. So all of these three together then build these outcomes where we say we have reduced cost of transformation, we have faster time to value, increased agility. Yeah, so it's really important to understand that it's not just an entity that is sitting by itself, but it's actually part of this whole methodology. In this picture, you can see it really nicely. We have here the business content accelerators, and then we see all of these integrated toolchain, from LeanIX, Cloud ALM, Build, and you already see some of the business content accelerators that are available. So what we are trying to show you today is how you can leverage the integrated toolchain, but within these integrated toolchain, you don't have to start from scratch. We already have some blueprints inside of these tools that you can leverage, which are then called business content and accelerators. Yeah. I hope the term is a little more understandable now. Now, if we go to the next page, every transformation starts kind of with the same question, right? Like, how do we move fast? How do we minimize risk? And how do we still deliver real business outcomes? And this is where this slide is really good. It shows you now exactly what we mean when we talk about business content and accelerators. And I'm sure some of these items or artifacts are known to you. Yeah, you'll notice familiar elements such as process management, best practices, model company, enterprise reference architecture, for example, as well as BTP accelerators. So what you can see on this slide is the core content from which to ensure that everything is connected and you can best work with it. But of course, we also have some other pillars on, for example, analytics. Yeah, also a very important topic, configuration, implementation. We also have process analysis, which plays a vital role in the beginning of a project, and of course also automation content. Yeah, so whenever we talk about business content accelerators, these are the content types that we are talking about. And again, the content alone is good, yeah, but our goal is to connect then this business content with the integrated tool chain, emphasizing that such content doesn't stand alone, but is really part of a specific SAP solution or entity or business object. Now, going to the next slide, this is again, the reason why I added this slide here is also because it kind of emphasizes again what I'm trying to say. When we come from that perspective of someone who is running a project, they don't necessarily have all of the details in mind when it comes to the artifacts or when it comes to the content that they're using. Yeah, but what they have in front of their image is always this strategy to execution path. Yeah, so basically the whole journey that you have to go through in order to fulfill your transformation. And there it might be that you have different tasks that you have to fulfill, and you have different tools that you fulfill these tasks with. So for example, we have Signavio, with that we really analyze our current processes, or with LeanIX, where we really define our architecture. And all of these tasks, what you see here, you are not left alone with. Yeah, so this is the message here, that you're not starting from scratch, but what you see here is we have these rockets, yeah, these pink rockets, these tiny ones, and those are basically basically the accelerators or the business content and accelerators. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can actually use in that specific phase of yours or in that specific task of yours, for example, in Signavio and LeanIX already some very predefined set of content to accelerate. Yeah. The stars that you see are then, of course, also accelerated by AI. It's fine. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, I also want to do it a little bit now to see how all of this works now in practice. So we have already talked about connecting the dots between, business content and the tool chain. And many of you might also be familiar with this visualization, right? As I already mentioned of the tool chain, we have these different tool chain solutions over here. What I don't have here is WalkMe. So that's out of scope here. Doesn't mean that we don't have content there, but I just wanted to, focus a little bit on some certain aspects rather than showing too much and then bombarding you all with information. So due to time reasons, I will really focus more in Signavio and LeanIX and show you there how the business content accelerators are helping these tools, or basically helping the users of these tools. And you can see that the different tool chain process steps, so to say, like starting in Signavio and then going through the different tools and different SAP Activate phases, and then we are connecting basically these tool chain process and then these process steps now to our business content and showing you how it helps you. So if we go to the next slide, we see that in the very beginning of your project, so in the discovery phase, in the tool chain, we talk about the out-of-the-box process transparency, in SAP Signavio. So you probably know when you do start working on a transformation project with a customer, you start using the tool chain. You usually start by analyzing the customer's as-is process landscape. You analyze their current processes to really identify any improvement potential, find potential issues that you can then fix, etc. And this process step is performed normally using different tools and solutions from SAP Signavio. You might know that you might know what that is already. I'm thinking, right? So solutions like SAP Signavio Process Insights, Process Intelligence, and in these solutions we already have content available. So you're not again starting from scratch, but these solutions are infused with business content for analysis and mining. For example, we have here process performance indicators, process metrics, and process insights. And then we have also a lot of dashboards like process mining dashboards for process intelligence. And this process analysis content is called or considered business content because, again, the knowledge, knowing how to analyze processes and what to analyze and what to look for, this is also part of this knowledge that SAP has gathered over the past decades. And that's why it's now also called business content. And we can use it here in our tool chain process. So process analysis and mining is the first step in the tool chain process. Then we go to the next step, which is a very important step. In the toolchain process, we are still using different tools from SAP Signavio, which is the target process design. So in the beginning, once you have analyzed your current process landscape, then you have to think about the as-is processes. You might have already found some improvement potential in there, and now you would like to design your target processes. So you would like to design the processes that you want to use when there's a new system. So target design, process design is the next step in the toolchain process. And customers or you don't want to start from scratch again. So what we have here is for like big companies, if they have to design all of their processes from scratch, you can imagine how much time and effort it would cost, maybe also lead to a lot of customization. And this is once again where business content from SAP comes in, because we provide then our customers with a starting point for the target process design. You don't have to start from zero. We give you blueprints essentially, which are process models that we provide, like best practices. So if you know about the SAP Best Practices, we have there this whole solution process flows, business process flows, and all of that. Standard content, for example. And this is business content for this step in the process. So you already see that the term might be a new one, but I'm sure you have heard about a solution process flow in the past, or maybe also about a business process value flow diagram, right? So all of this is actually Business Content Accelerator. Now, if we go to the next step, now we're switching the tools. So now we have done the out-of-the-box process transparency. We have also designed our process landscape, and now we want to switch and go to the LeanIX. And what LeanIX does in the toolchain process is, how it fits into all of this. Yeah, so far we have been talking about a lot about processes, and I mean, a company needs processes. It is the foundation. However, those processes don't run on their own. Yeah, they need to be executed by a software or by any SAP software solution. And this is where LeanIX comes into play, because just like we designed a target process landscape with Signavio, we also need to look at which solutions or in which software SAP software solutions can actually execute these processes now. And so LeanIX is the tool to manage and monitor the enterprise architecture, your solution architecture. And in this part, of course, SAP provides content as well. Yeah, again. But before I show you that content from SAP LeanIX, I just quickly want to touch upon how these two tools talk now with each other. Yeah, so we have talked about the process, and we have talked about the architecture, and ideally they should communicate with each other. And this is how it is. Yeah, because we realize that a process needs a software solution to be executed. So this means that there is definitely some kind of a connection between the two. And this is the reason why it's called the integrated tool chain, because these tools are, integrated in one another. If you go to the next slide. Exactly. So one very central part of this concept and accelerators is the SAP Enterprise Reference Architecture. Yeah, thinking about LeanIX, this is one of the biggest or one of the most important assets that we have here, which I just want to show a little bit to give you a concrete example. So Enterprise Architecture EA content has a very central part, because driven from the business perspective, but also spanning towards the IT side and the solution perspective. And SAP provides the reference architecture kind of as an orientation. Yeah, it's based on the SAP Enterprise Architecture methodology, which itself is inspired by a lot of recognized standards such as APQC, etc. And we use these standards as a foundation, and then enhanced with our own contributions from sub-teams, partners, years of knowledge from customers. And it has two main pillars. So on the one side here, shown on the left, we have the business architecture model. And then on the right, the corresponding solution architecture model. This is what I was talking about, right? So process also needs to have kind of a solution. So in short, the capability models or the business architecture model describes the business in a product agnostic way, in two ways: capabilities and process. Yeah, in short, the capability models are around what the business does, and then the process model on how it gets done. Yeah. So, and these span all major business domains and are being extended also to support various other industries. And on the other side, we also have the solution architecture model, which kind of mirrors the business architecture. And they take the perspective of basically the software products that we have in SAP, and then also recommended solutions that can support the capabilities and process. So this also helps you answer the question like, which IT application supports the most critical steps in my business process? Are they running well, or are they maybe outdated? Which application or IT feature can fulfill my business requirement for a certain business capability? So this is all possible through the link between these two. Yeah. So the reason why I showed you this here is, again, as an example of how the business content accelerators are in the specific tools that you are using, but they're also kind of interconnected to each other. Yeah. We're never talking solely about a content or solely about an artifact or a tool. Yeah, so this is kind of the overview of what we have and what we mean when we talk about business content and accelerators. And now the good question, of course, but I also touched already a little bit upon this, right? Is how do I now explore business content and accelerators? So if we go to the next slide. So at some point, we received also the feedback from our customers that, we have all of these different tools containing different types of content from for different purposes. Like we have SAP LeanIX, as I mentioned, Cloudale, Signavio, Value Accelerator libraries and stuff. But what's missing is a holistic page that brings everything together in one place and kind of breaks the silo. And this is where the ideas stem from, that we have one central entry point for business content accelerators, which is internally and externally available. And that was then the transformation domain, which is available on the Business Accelerator Hub. I'm sure you've been on the hub before, right? It contains different domains from analytics to API, etc. And within it, we have a domain called the transformation domain. However, in the future, we might also shift a little bit. Yeah, just giving you a heads up, because currently we have a very static content-centric experience on the transformation domain. And what our aim is going to be in the future is shifting a little bit towards from static to dynamic, yeah, because like a context-driven user journey that really adapts to the individual customer needs. So you as a customer, of course, know what you need, or you as a certain persona in a project maybe also don't know what you need, right? So it should be a very dynamic way of showing you what the content is. So this will be, this is a future thing, right? Just putting it out there. But what you see on this page is also that all of these different tools like SAP Process Navigator, Value Accelerator Library, LeanIX, Cloud ALM, and many more that are missing here, basically are the tools where you consume the content. Yeah, for exploration, we have the channel like transformation domain, but for consuming it, you then have these different tools. If you go to the next slide, I think this is again the transformation domain, as I mentioned, yeah, right. But here you see it very, very nicely. What Nadja is showing right now is I talked about these three layers. Yeah, I talked about Cloud ALM, LeanIX, Ignavio, and I also talked about the certain tasks that you do in these tools, but now also mirroring it. So if you go to the next slide, is how do you see them? For example, for utilities, if you go to the next slide, you see that here we have the process, yes, exactly. We have the process insights, right? Where you can then really perform your performance analysis, for performance intelligence, where you can process execution analysis, or for example, for Cloud ALM, yeah, where you have to do the implementation, scoping, testing, validation. You then go inside SAP Cloud ALM, where you will also find a bunch of accelerators, like test scripts, etc., that you can use and don't have to start from scratch. Yeah. I mean, in my previous work as a consultant, was always happy to never start from scratch and always have some kind of a blueprint, right? But I was never aware of how those are being termed, right? We use it, but we never really have a term in our mind. But this is exactly what it is. It's business content accelerators, and they are expanding. We always, what Nadja said, right? We always need these insights also from our customers to understand what do they need, what is their content need, in which direction do they want us to go to in the future. Also thinking about AI, right? There are also some things that we're doing. But yeah, this is kind of a summary. I hope it was understandable. And if any questions, right, please feel free to also write them in the chat. We have a colleague here actually who is trying to answer them also. Melina, thank you so much. And yeah, now handing it over to Nadja for the last part.
Thank you, Maya. Before we go into the last part that I mentioned about, like, now that you're a little bit familiar with the concept, with the topic, we would also like to share how we can work together and what are the possible opportunities for you and for both of us. But before that, if there are any questions related to what we just presented about the topic, about the content, you can also ask before we move into the last part of the session. So I cannot see any screen or nothing. So Maya, you need to help me here.
Yeah. I mean, there are already some questions in the chat, right? Ibrahim, you asked, does best practices consider to be part of business content accelerators? So exactly, this is a good example of BCNA. And I don't know if I'm just going through them right now.
Okay, while you take a while to go through them and we address them later, we do have a Q&A session in the end of the session. So again, how we can work together, and here we have two ways of doing it. And number one is, first, if you want to know more about this topic, if you want to learn more about the content and how it works, we provide you with three channels, with three platforms here. The first one is through our enablement sessions. So we do offer enablement sessions for our customers where we can sit together one-to-one. We explain to you what is business content, how it works, why is it relevant for you. We can also tailor it to your needs, to your requirements as to what you want to listen, which exact part you want to learn about or talk about, and that this is the way we do through these enablement sessions. We do it on site, we do it virtual, in a group, one-to-one, however you like. So that's sort of an enablement kind of thing where you want to learn more about this topic and how this works and how it can serve you for your transformation journey. The second option we have is through deep dive sessions. Here we target more like specific topics. For example, we mentioned about SAP reference business content. We can you can avail our experts. Our experts here are here to talk about these specific topics, and they take you through the tools relevant to these topics. They can provide you with the demos necessary to learn to understand these topics. So yes, we can not only support you ourselves, but we also connect you to the experts that are working on these specific topics. And yeah, this is also one of the channel that we utilize to communicate to you. And lastly, community meetups. Here we are talking about different channels. For example, user groups. We have a very active representation in the German user group. Then there are also some other channels through which we also share the updates, what's new, what are we working on. It could be through newsletters, it could be through blog posts, it could be in events, internal or external both. So whatever opportunity we find relevant for us to spread the word, we do avail that, and we do share about our business content accelerators and why is it important for you. So that's one way of doing it. The second way is how you can do it with us. So here we have a number of initiatives that we run or plan to run with our customers where you can support us. For example, being a direct contributor in the content creation. So you can directly participate in the process of content creation. For example, if we are talking about industry-specific content, we do have an example from the past. Crane Corp, an Australian company, where they participated in the content creation related to the agriculture industry and agriculture-specific content. So you also have the choice to do so, and you can be a part of this process right from the beginning. The second way we can do it is that you can also co-innovate and validate with us. And for that, we do plan to have some initiatives where we present some topics to you. We come up with some updates to you, and you can provide your feedback directly to us about that particular content or that particular topic. Then customer enablement. As mentioned, we do try to utilize every possible channel where we can spread the word, share the word about the work we are doing. So yeah, apart from the events, we do provide or do work or do create external learning journeys. We do create external video enablement videos to help you understand a bit more about this topic. So yeah, these are some of the channels that we use. And lastly, one of the things that we are running right now, and I do want to mention it about, is the customer engagement initiative. So this is a project that we have been running from the past 2 years, and every year we do it specifically on the RBA RSA content. So we present to you some topics, some updates that we think are relevant to share with our customers. We come to you, we sit together, and we get your feedback. So this is something that we have already initiated for 2026, but beginning this year, we also plan to extend it to other areas and other domains, and that's where you can again co-innovate and co-validate with us on these specified topics. And for this particular one, the one on 2026 on RBRSA, the registrations are open. And if you feel like you could contribute there, please feel free to do so. We can also share the link in the chat, and the registrations are until March 15. So if you think like this is something relevant and this is something interesting for you, please feel free to participate. So that's how we support you, and you can support us. So that not only we create new content, but we also continuously improve and refine the content that we have been working on in the past years. And yeah, share the insights and learnings from each other, and just learn from each other in this way. Lastly, we have created for you a little resource corner, and everything everything that we have discussed so far in this session about our content and why do we do it and why is it important, what's the need, what's the requirement, everything is nicely summarized here, plus with the resources that we also talked about or shared with you about, for example, transformation domain. You can have a look into the video that we have created for that nicely explains the concept of business content and accelerators, reference architecture, how we do deep dive discussions into this or other relevant topics. Everything you want to know, I think you can use this one pager for that, and also gives you the opportunity to connect with us if you want to either connect with us for more information, more clarity, more understanding, or if you want to be a part of one of the initiatives that I mentioned to work with us, please feel free to do so. Yeah. And with that, I think we are already at the end of the session, and now we are open to your questions. Yeah, please feel free to speak if you have any questions, any unclarities, or if you want to know more about anything.
All right. Thank you, Najia. Thanks, Maya. There are a couple of questions in the chat, and I think Maya have started already answering some of them. Maybe before we do this, Najia, you've mentioned the link to this influence, and maybe we can share it via chat as well, so the participants can immediately join if they're interested.
Yeah, Maya, would you please share the link in the chat for the CI project, please?
Yes, sure. I can post
Thank
this.
you.
And I also saw another question regarding the demo. It's not part of this session, a demo. However, we do have a lot of demos, and we can definitely show something here. Maybe it can be a topic for the next session. We would surely love to show you a bit more in depth how it looks like than in the tool itself. Yeah. Let me just quickly find the link now for that registration.
There was one more question in the beginning, how you can get mapping between solution process flows and BPML scope items when it will be provided out of the box. I think there was already an answer for this.
Yes, that was already answered by Melina. Thank you. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, when we talk about the solution process flows and the scope items, those are the same things. I don't know what was referred or what is exactly is meant by that question. If it is any more to it, I've also posted the link already.
Okay, I can see one raised hand by Mario. Let's see if I can unmute. Ask to unmute. Let's see, Mario. All right. I can still see your raised hand, and maybe you can try to speak up. We can't hear you, unfortunately. All right, then let us move to the chat again.
Yeah, just to mention about the project that we are talking about. So you can log into this or like register to it using your S user ID. So yeah, I wanted to share that you don't need to create something new, or you can already utilize that.
All right, so I saw Maya have shared the link to influence session. So for those, you've mentioned that the registration is open until March 15, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we can also, for those who are in the call and consider participating, please check the link in the chat and make sure. Maybe you can also include it into the materials of the session, or
It's already in there. Yeah.
it's already there, okay. or I can also include a note with this deadline of March 15 in the description to the video on YouTube. This might be also of an interest. So let's check. There is one more question in the Q&A tool. Do you have a real world example to share? This would help tremendously. I'm not sure. Might I have started answering this?
Yeah, I was about to answer it exactly. Yeah, so we have so the reason why I did in the presentation, I just showed you a very high level example of how we work in these different tool chains and how yeah the content really helps you work with these tool chains and in your project. In order to show you like a very in-depth demo, it's very difficult to like do it in 5 minutes. You actually have to show the whole end-to-end perspective, right? So this is why I think it would make sense to maybe do a separate session if you are interested, and hopefully we were able to raise a little bit of interest, right? Then maybe we can definitely do another session where we can actually go inside the tools and show you how that works, and we can also provide you then with these recordings. Yeah.
Yeah, in the
So,
past we did have some use cases that we, worked on, we published, in this transformation domain that we just mentioned about. But as Maya mentioned, that now like our focus or like it's shifting a little bit towards, a more like in a broader perspective as to seeing future, the AI capabilities and the involvement and that disruption. So that's why it might not be relevant anymore in the future. That's why we don't think so that it's worth mentioning here. But yes, we did have some use cases, some customer references, but we fear that in the future they might not be um, visible anymore to you.
all right. So it seems there is a part of at least part of the audience who is interested in these real life examples. And I think we should see how we can organize this follow-up session for those who are interested. So also for those who have just provided Q&A question as anonymous, would be great if you can reach out to us so we know your name and can include you in this session. So, but we will definitely, or the ladies will take this for a follow-up, and then we can decide how we can offer a session for this.
Yeah. And maybe just one last point from my side. I know, Larissa, you will be sending out a survey after the session, right? That really helps us a lot. So please find some time to fill it out, because now, as you might know, right, the direction's sometimes changing, and it's very important for us to always be on top of what our customers want, yeah, and on top of what our users want. So it really helps us to understand how we can really cater to that. This is why we also have these initiatives. So in order to have more initiatives and projects set up, what Nadja just mentioned, it's always good to understand which topics are really, things that are of value when it comes to our customers. Yeah, so it would be really great if you fill out this survey, and that way it will help us a little bit more in the future work.
I just posted link to the survey in the chat. Unfortunately, it's unbelievably long link. So sorry for that, but it's either you can click it from here from the chat, or when the session is over, then you will be actually receive this another window with the survey link. So as Maya just said, please fill it out. This would be of a help for us. So okay, in the Q&A part, I can see an additional participant interested in the real world example. So we have already a couple of them. Yes, excellent. Then, yeah, let's work on this, what we can offer as a follow-up. And let's me in the chat. We receive an unbelievable feedback from Mike. You are all amazing. This Move to Cloud series is always top notch. Thank you. Nice to hear. We will do our best to continue in the same way. So there is one more question from Deba. To what degree the business content and accelerators support non-SAP tools now or in future? For example, LeanIX as a tool supports mapping of non-SAP tools.
Good question, Deba. I would need to take this question with me because we have, for now, always focused a lot on the SAP tools. Yeah, it does make sense to also think about the non-SAP tools, as you mentioned. There are some mappings that happen on LeanIX when it comes to non-SAP tools. How much we collaborate now on that topics is something I would need to check. Yeah, but I can definitely come back to you with the answer to that.
All right. So I can see more question in Q&A. The invitation mentioned the following: using a concrete customer-based use case, see how this area serves as a central point of access for a comprehensive range of resources. And then feedback, unfortunately, this concrete customer-based use case was missing. All right, I think anyway, Maya and Najia can take this feedback and check how they can follow up on this. And as we said, we are also very much interested in any kind of feedback, so we take it with us.
We appreciate your feedback, really, and this is something we did anticipate. Like, this is something that usually people are more interested in, but sometimes, the world is dynamic. There are like shifts and changes, so sometimes we have to, tweak our direction a little bit, and that's what we did, and that's why, we are not really specifically mentioned, because this is something that in the future might not be relevant anymore. So we don't want to share anything that you would not find anywhere in the future. But again, we can definitely come back to you on this if you want. If you're interested in getting more information about that, please feel free to reach out. We have shared our contact information. We have shared the mediums you can connect to us. So please feel free to write us, and we can definitely take it with us and come back to you with more relevant and concrete information that you can also utilize in the future as well. So yeah, sorry for disappointing, but sometimes, we have to deal with it.
I think the question of relevance and keeping assets up to date is also very important. So, but anyway, we take this feedback and work on it. Thank you very much. So let's see. In the chat, we have one more positive feedback from Antonieta Lopez. I love it. Thanks, Larissa and team. You're very welcome. We are very happy to see people who continuously attend our sessions. So we also try to cover a very wide range of topics. So great to have you with us. All right. So let's see. I think with this we have covered everything what we planned so far. Thank you very much to our participants for being with us, for being so active, asking questions, also providing your feedback. And of course, thank you very much to Najia and Maya for being our speakers. And we definitely will work on the follow-ups to make sure that you receive all the necessary information. And if you have any other ideas or feedback, please feel free to contact directly to us. With this, thank you very much. Wish you a great day, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.